Buenos dias. Welcome everybody. Good morning. A new week, a new month, just after Mother's Day. Welcome everybody. This is the Hispanic Response and Recovery Plan daily webinars. We are daily bringing you Hispanic leaders and leaders of all sorts of industries so that in this time we can capitalize on the time that we have to be educated, illuminated, enlightened, so that we can reskill, learn, and be ready, so that we take this opportunity, like we change this crisis into an opportunity for us to be better up and better equipped for the future. We know this is very hard, and that is why the Hispanic Response and Recovery Plan is bringing leaders together to respond and mitigate the impact that COVID has in our community. This is part of, again, the Hispanic Star Alliance in action, taking care for ourselves, to ourselves. This week, I'm delighted to have Natalie Boden, like a huge name when it comes to reaching out and doing public relations on the Hispanic community. Even before started working on Hispanics, I have heard the name of Natalie Boden as one of the leader figures that communicate and bring media and companies on board to talk about Hispanics and understand the market. So today we're going to be listening, we're going to be discussing about the leading with purpose, the power of public relations in 2020. So PRWeek Hall of Femme recipient Natalie Boden, who's the founder and president of Boden, her company, and she will be talking to us about the power of public relations and how can brands build trust, reputation, and drive market growth in 2020 in these difficult times. So Natalie, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us here. Again, I'm delighted to be able to be with you, learning from you, and even working with you. You're such a legend. So I want to start by saying thank you, and then ask you a question. So what has COVID-19 taught brands in terms of public relations? What can brands do starting tomorrow? I know you have a presentation, so again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Claudia, thank you so much. First, happy belated Mother's Day to you. I'm really happy to be here, really proud to be with you. All that you're doing, all that Hispanic Stars is doing, it's so crucial to our market right now. It's so crucial to our community, so really proud. Thanks for that really nice introduction, I appreciate it. As you mentioned, I've got a few slides to go through, and really it's just to give a really high level view of where we are at the moment. So here we go, leading with purpose. As we know, the conversation has completely changed, right? COVID has, we were already a really polarized country even before COVID came around. And today we can really see the huge differences between all of our communities as a result of what is going on. And really leading with purpose, such a neat word, right? Let's lead with purpose. I think a lot of companies are doing that and have already done that. It's no longer something a nice to have. It really isn't a nice to have anymore. We need to understand. So first thing all of us did is we asked, what can we do for our employees? What can we do to look after our consumers? What can we do to look after our community? But this should not be something that we're only doing when there's a pandemic, when there's something that is crucial to what's going on in our country. We should do it every single day. And what's interesting, and I always like to caveat this, because the leading with purpose and doing good does not have to be seen as something that will affect profit negatively. Studies show that companies will grow 3 times as much when you lead with purpose. So it's not about, do we choose profit? Do we choose doing good? It's really the same, all in the same. And what I want to talk about today, and it's something that's very close to Hispanic Star, is that leading with purpose today is about understanding how can we help the most vulnerable. Okay, if we do not help the most vulnerable, and you see it especially in developing countries where the focus has to be on the most vulnerable, but why not in the developed countries like the US? And this has really shown us, when we ask the question, how are we going to lead with purpose, Claudia? We're going to have to ask, okay, how are we going to help the most vulnerable? Okay, there's a really wonderful quote, and I have it right in front of me because I wanted to make sure I read it correctly. And because it's about the private sector stepping up and stepping up now. And it's by Wangari Maathai. She's a social activist from Kenya. And I'll read it up to you. In the course of history, there comes a time when humanity is called upon to shift to a new level of consciousness, to reach a higher moral ground. For C-suites everywhere, the time is now. And she said it a few years ago, but it cannot be more relevant than now. And when we talk about our Hispanic population, Claudia, I know you know this, it's 16% of the population. We have 50+ million Hispanics, 1.3 trillion in spending power. You know, a lot of brands have had the objective of reaching this market because it's a market that brings them income. Now it's time to flip it. And now it's time to invest time and money and attention on them. Okay, and this is where PR comes into play. Someone told me that I thought it was very funny. They said, funny, interesting, said, hey, the PR guys and gals are the cool kids on the block now, referring to the fact that it's usually, you know, advertising and the creatives. And that's because everyone turned to us and said, what do we do? How do we help? And PR has always been at the very center of organizations. We've been the conscience of an organization. Okay, so I have this really quick 5-step plan that I'm going to go through. Just 5 questions you ask yourself. And the very, very first one is, how are we going to solve for the biggest issues? Okay, and the biggest issues at the moment for our market, and I didn't put a whole pile of data in here, it's really, these are the big issues. 17% of us are uninsured in the Hispanic market, okay? We have 5 million small business owners at the moment that are suffering. Huge food insecurity across all of our segments, across the entire country. Nobody thinks about the digital divide. The huge digital divide at the moment, and the fact that, you know, we can't get Wi-Fi, we're not going to school. So what happens to the education of our children? Okay, we have a female factor, very important. I just read a piece that Sheryl Sandberg wrote, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. She's calling it the double shift. We've now reached the double shift where women of color, single mothers, are looking after their children, looking after their parents, looking after their jobs, looking after their homes. It's gone from the double shift to the double shift. We have to understand that as women of color, this is going to be something very, very important to address. And at the bottom, we put some of the you know, our sectors, because as each sector looks at what they do best, think, all right, which of these do I want to solve? Okay, I'm going to show you a video that shows exactly what I mean. Like, you have to see, how do I show up? Because what do I do? What can only my brand do? Okay, and this is a video from one of our clients that we're very proud to work with McDonald's. Take a look at what they did. I show you this video and this initiative that McDonald's did because it really answers the questions, what can a brand, only that brand do? Who can deliver smiles through a happy meal? Only McDonald's. Who can bring together franchisee owners, suppliers, and the corporation? McDonald's. So as you look at what you can do, say, what is it that only I can do, that I can own? Extremely important how you prioritize your news. Okay, why? Consumer sentiment at the moment is looking a little bit more positive, all right? As we went out the gate, a lot of companies started to ask, okay, so when can we start to push product again? That is not to say, because we're looking at solving issues and solving larger problems, that we'll never be able to push product out or push the messages of our product, but we have to wait for the right time to do it. Here's an example. With GM and Ford, okay, their initiative was enormous, the kind of initiative that got onto hard news, onto 60 Minutes. But look at what L'Oreal did, okay? L'Oreal with Eva Longoria pushed product. That is okay. It always has to go through the lens of COVID, of course, but that is okay. You have to ensure that it's the right time to do it. And next to last, and we were talking about that, Claudia, when we're looking at earning trust from our segment, from our Hispanic segment specifically, I think a lot of the times we look at the media. All right, so what media are we gonna go after to build trust and get that third-party endorsement? But we are very, very multifaceted. We have our religious leaders are very big and influential, okay? Our doctors, our social influencers, our media, absolutely, of course, celebrities, all of us have come together to do something for our community. And I put the link there as well if anyone would ever want to download the full list of our entire Hispanic stakeholder list. It's on our website. But the point is that we cover the gamut, okay? We're not going to reach that community in Houston. We're not going to reach that community in Los Angeles. We're not going to reach that community in Miami if we only go to national media. And lastly, we have to continue to monitor and evolve and ask ourselves that question every single day. We should have been asking ourselves this question, and we've always said it as public relations counselors, to always ask, how are we going to solve for the most vulnerable? But today, it's more important than ever before. Every single day we have to get up and ask that question. It's not only good for us, as I said, profit-wise, as companies, as a private sector, it's good for our country, it's good for our society. And just very lastly, here's a little cheat sheet, all in one spot, okay? The 5 questions we have to continue to ask ourselves to really make a big difference in our community.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for this. And I love actually that you have the link to the stakeholder. Absolutely, we want to build trust and reach out to stakeholders. But I want to ask you a couple of things. First of all, thank you so very much. Again, so even before working in this space, I knew about you, and I know that you're one of the leading voices on public relations and bringing Hispanics, the Hispanic market, to brands and to media. How do you, I mean, how do you see that companies are stepping up? I have data that indicates that 44% of Hispanics are in denial on COVID. And the reason, Natalie, we started doing the Hispanic Response and Recovery is because we're the most affected. And I am hammering on this word, disproportionately affected, because if we don't elevate the problem, we will not elevate the solutions that we need for our community. If you don't say this is a real issue, people are not going to pay attention to bring real solutions. And so there's one part, there's one data point that scared me, which is 117 brands have actually been turned around and just started communicating about COVID, communicating to their employees, communicating to their consumers, communicating to communities, but only 13 of them are targeting Hispanics or are doing that in language. How do you, are you optimistic? Like, how are you happy and satisfied about how you see corporate America responding?
I'm what would we call cautiously optimistic about corporate America at the moment. The very first thing, you're right, that they did was take a look at what are we going to do to help our employees? What are we going to do to help our consumers, our suppliers, our communities? But that's the first step only, okay? The second step that you have to take, really it should have been at the first step, but if you haven't taken it yet, you take it now. Now you say, all right, within those employees, within those suppliers, within those communities, within those consumers, who is our Hispanic base that we have to look after? Okay, so your numbers are right on. There are very few that have done it from the onset, but it's not too late. It's not too late to take a second stab at the entire plan that you have put together and say, all right, so now how are we going to focus on our Hispanic segment?
Natalie, you've been working on this space for long, and you are again one leader that understands this market, that brings this market. What do you think we should be doing as a community together? I mean, like, there is a part of me that is very, very clear about, like, let's take this crisis from the from the horns, agarrar al toro por los cuernos, and turn it around so that is also an opportunity. There's also an opportunity for us to unite as a Hispanic community, to become one. Like, whoa, if we don't unite now, this is gonna hit us harder. And number two is how do we actually reinvent the roles for Hispanics? So in that effort, what similarities, what do you think we should be doing? What have you seen instances in which Hispanics have had these opportunities and not grabbed them, that you're like, no, this is not going to happen to us again. This is the time in which we have to unify and become strong?
So, Claudia, what you're doing with Hispanic Star is an incredible initiative. I think it's getting all parties together. What's happened in the Hispanic market over the course of the last, I've been in this market for about 15, no, actually 20 years, trying to shorten those years there. But in terms of, we've been very siloed, right? And things are okay to be siloed when everything's going well, but at the moment it's a time when we have to come together. And not only come together, we like to talk about big plans in our community, and we like to talk about big initiatives, but we have to develop, maybe it's a 5-10 step plan, and measure against it. I think that is the one thing that we haven't done. We haven't developed, the plans can be there, but we haven't measured against them. I was very fortunate to be part of the American Express Make Mine $1 Million Business Program, which is a women's initiative for small business owners. And they had numbers. How are we making a difference with women entrepreneurs across the country? Claudia, if we don't put numbers against it and we don't put data against it, we're gonna be talking, it's gonna be great for press, it's gonna look great, but we have to really drill down and partner with the right organizations that'll help us measure.
Yeah, and I think that that's part of what, again, we would love to, like, couple of questions for you. One, I would love to make sure that officially you accept to be part of the Hispanic Star Alliance, this group of, 75 to 100 leaders that were like, yep, sitting around the same table, drawing that plan together, saying, what are the 5-10 things, how are we going to measure it together? The recovery plan has to be put together by us. No one else is going to give it to us. It's for us, to all of us with love. So hope that you can be part of the Hispanic Star Alliance. We have an initiative going that you're aware of, which is trying to bring Hispanics together by doing things together. Like, there is no better plan but to have an initiative. And so we have CMC, Círculo Creativo, and ideally would love to invite you to also be part of this initiative to get Hispanics to get together, to talk to Hispanics about Hispanics. So we did something called Estamos Unidos as a first iteration that was sponsored, gratefully, by Procter & Gamble. But we will continue. We will continue talking to our community about us and bringing that noise also to the stakeholders. So 2 invitations, one for the Alliance, and then the other one to have the Hispanic creative and media industry together so that we can continue activating together.
Claudia, count on my support for both. Es un rotundo sí. It's absolutely a yes. I came to this country 20 years ago, Latina. This country has given me so much. I'm an immigrant myself. I couldn't be prouder to be Latina and to be Hispanic, and couldn't be prouder to join the initiative.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And here is the trick. And for everyone that is listening, we invite you. Because I think that a lot of the things, Natalie, that I've been working and seeing communities, never in the States, I never lived in the States before, but I've seen how communities come out of nothing and thrive with half of what we have. Like in the 25 years working with UNICEF and the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, I saw when people get together, they actually do great things. And so we just have to ask the question, are you in? Can we count on you? Are you willing to be part of a Hispanic unified community? And I think that when you say yes, we start making change. And one of the things we want to do is to create a day of action. So for all of you, that are listening, to all the fans of Natalie Boden like we are, join Natalie and join us in taking action for our community, all of us, to all of us, with the day of action, 21 May. 21 May, where we're going to invite everyone in corporate America, all your clients, all the people that are listening, to take one action. It doesn't matter what it is. You can donate, you can volunteer, you can share data about Hispanics being disproportionately affected. You can share news the way that Natalie has done with McDonald's, and say like, this is great, this company is doing great, so that we can start saying Hispanic friendly, not so much Hispanic friendly, so join. So we want to take a day in which all of us can say like, this one day, I'll donate $10. I'll donate, like a despensa for my neighbor. I will help someone else. So ideally, Natalie, you can see how we can activate your network as well. Would that work? Uh-oh, I think that we froze Natalie. That was Natalie, did we lose you? Yes?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Listen,
great.
Claudia, count on us. Very, very proud to be here with you. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think that it would be fantastic just before, before we...
Did I guys?
Natalie, go on. We're losing you. Oh, we did lose you. Oh, no, here you are. Great.
Am I here? Can you see me?
See you and hear you. All good.
Okay. Sorry about that. I did hear everything you said. So just count 100% on our support, Claudia.
Natalie, last words, message, like how can people find more information about what you're doing? What would be your message for Hispanics in this time?
Really the message for our private sector is this: we do have to step up. We do have to do something. It doesn't have to be something enormous. It can start small. Our site, if you go to bodenagency.com/C19, you can see all the many issues that we're dealing with at the moment. You can read directly what the press wants to hear from you, from the brands. You hear from social influencers. We interview doctors on do's and don'ts at the moment and what brands should be doing. Everything is there. So if you need anything, stakeholders, in terms of how to reach our segment, how to help our segment, you can go there. Listen, we can't wait. We can't wait any longer. We have to act at the moment. And that's why, Claudia, you count on me. Count on me, our entire Boden family. We're there with you. We'll help you get the word out. Ahí estaremos con ustedes the whole way.
Thank you so very much, Natalie Boden. This is a time to lead with purpose and lead by example. So I appreciate you, Natalie. I know from all the other PR agencies how respectful and how collaborative you are with everyone, and I appreciate that. This is a time for all of us to leave our professional competitors at the side, to say like, this is for our community, because united we will be strong, and this is a way to get back in our feet faster and stronger. So thank you so much, Natalie Boden, for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.